Macmillan Audio presents The Perfect Assassin by K.A. Doore. Read for you by Amin El Gamal. To Hazel, for arriving at exactly the right moment and being my rock in this hurricane. 1. The wind tore at Amastan's wrap, trying to slide warm fingers beneath the fabric and unravel the knots. It tasted of heat and dust, the only two products of the sands that stretched endless before him. His toggle kept the worst of the sand from getting into his mouth and between his teeth, but he still had to squint to see through the onslaught. If he turned and wove back between the buildings, the wind would taper and calm. But here, on the edge of the city, on the edge of the platform, there was nothing between him and the sky and the sands several 100 feet below. The sun had set and night fell fast. Straight east, the first of the stars began to appear. In another hour, the moon would rise and fill the void the sun had left, but until then, Amastan would have only the light the stars gave him. It would have to be enough. The unshakable Amastan isn't scared, is he? Taunted Dia. His eldest cousin stood to one side, her thick, muscular arms crossed. When he glanced her way, Dia flashed a smile that was all teeth. Amastan didn't reward her with a response. Silently, he reviewed for the sixth time, the assortment of tools he'd brought. Rope, chain, knives, gloves, water, shoes. He touched the charm that hung between his collarbones. Its leather was soft and bulged with the usual herbs for protection. But for this journey, the charm maker had added a scrap of vellum, inked with words that would protect him from John. At least the charm maker had insisted it would. Amastan hadn't exactly had a chance to test it in the city. Fear tightened his chest at the thought of John. He pushed the fear away, breathing deeply and focusing on the steps he'd take to complete this one final test. A dizzyingly long drop and a short sprint across the sands was all that stood between him and becoming an assassin. While deceptively simple, Tamela had built this test around his weaknesses: strength, stamina, and a willingness to be flexible. He couldn't help wonder if, on top of all that, Tamela had known about his fear of John. Nothing got past his teacher, but then again that specific fear had never come up during their years of training. He knew. He'd been careful about that. The wild John below were little more than stories. John were as rare as storms. He had nothing to fear but the time limit, and if he failed, Tamela's disappointment. He wouldn't run up against either with the right mindset and planning. He could do this. He would do this. "Why are you stalling?" asked Azule, almost shouting as he overcompensated for the wind. "Stop pressuring him," said Mena. She bounced up and down on her toes, betraying her own impatience. Dia, Azule, and Mena had trained with him almost daily for the last 5 years. The 4 of them were this generation's candidates, hand-picked by Tamela to carry on the family's secret, bloody tradition. In the beginning, the only thing they had in common was a very loose relation by blood, and the family name they could claim if they wanted. Now, they shared calluses and scars, hopes and dreams, fears and nightmares. Now, they were cousins. The other 3 had already completed their tests, each tailored to their particular weaknesses. Amastan had watched each of them pass with increasing trepidation. Tamela had promised that one of them would fail, and now here he was, the only cousin that remained. "I just want him to go already," whined Azule. "I could be sleeping instead of standing out here getting sand in my teeth." "Sleeping? Really?" Dia's voice was heavy with skepticism. "Don't you mean losing bats gambling with the caravanners?" "No, I mean sleeping." Azule paused, then added, "There aren't any caravanners at the end of the season, and you know it."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?